Hey, what's up, my friends? Jason Woodland here with Always the Journey TV. Rocking and rolling here with episode number 38. Welcome to the new year as well. 2021, here we go. So happy new year to you. This is the very first episode back. So thank you very much for joining us. I sincerely appreciate your time. Today, I mean, really what these are all about is really doing a deep dive on people in the community and what they're doing for their jobs, their businesses, their work in general, their art, their side hustles, event spaces, and everything in between. I'm here to sort of shine a spotlight on what people are doing, just in case there's someone out there that is looking for that product or service. And if they watch this, they're able to get a better understanding of what someone is doing. So, and anyway, thanks again for joining us. So today, small business shout out is a place called Futures Coffee Collective. They're located up at 1286 Legend Hills Drive, suite number 100 in Clearfield, Utah. So if you're up around that area, go and give those guys a try. So today I get to introduce a friend of mine, David Walston. He's a native Utahan, but grew up in Texas and Pennsylvania. He moved to Virginia to attend college at Liberty University, where he met his wife, Shelly, and graduated with a degree in accounting. David is now back in Utah with his wife and 3 kids. David Walston has worked for public and private companies for more than a decade in their role of CFO, controller, and financial analyst. During this time, it became clear to David that the financial function of most businesses was focused on compliance and not helping the business achieve their goals. This is why David started Walston Advisory Firm 5 years ago. Walston Advisory Firm is focused on helping business owners use their financial data to help them achieve their goals. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce my friend, David Walston. What's happening, my man?
Hey, thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. And since we've already dedicated a few minutes of time trying to turn up your volume for the listeners, just make sure you're listening a little bit closely because his volume is a little bit low, but we are aware of the situation. So David, it's so good to have you on the Always the Journey TV show. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you again. It's always great to talk to you anyway. So it's good to be part of your show and be able to be on
I really appreciate that, man. Like, we always have some fun conversations, especially when Bitcoin is going up, huh?
Yes. Even if it goes down, it's still a fun conversation. It's just different.
You're exactly right. I totally understand and appreciate that for sure. So today I wanted to learn more about your business. And of course, we've talked a lot about it, but I want my listeners to be able to learn more in detail. And of course, as my disclaimer, me being in the financial field, when it comes to attorneys and accountants and that kind of stuff, make sure you do your own research. This is not necessarily saying that you have to use any particular person within these fields. So anyway, those are the little asterisk disclaimers. But anyway, David is a stand-up guy for sure. And today we're going to learn more about his accounting and bookkeeping firm and what it is they do. But we touched on a little bit in your bio, but I want to learn more, David, about your inspiration, all to begin with, getting involved in the world of accounting, because like life insurance and financial services, it's not the most fast-paced, wildly exciting industry.
Not at all.
What inspired you to get involved with that?
So what's funny is ever since I was a little kid, I love business in general. I just loved the ins and outs of what businesses do and how they run and everything like that. And I was like, when I get my job, I want to do something with business. Okay. So I went to college and I was like, I have no idea exactly what I want to do, but I'm going to do business. And then I took my first accounting class and I'm like, I really enjoy this. So that makes it super easy. It's one of those things where it just becomes obvious. And so ever since then, I've jumped out into public accounting and been doing stuff, learning more and getting a better idea of what's going on and what the needs are out in the my space of the world, I guess it is.
Yeah. Well, that's really good because, I mean, having an understanding of finance and accounting when starting a business is absolutely imperative because numbers are the language of business.
Yep.
And tell me your position on this. What I see a lot of, especially when I was in the debt and equity field and I was consulting businesses, you'd have people that wanted to start a business because they just simply wanted to become their own boss. Mm-hmm. But they didn't really have a financial understanding of how to run the business, so it became a disaster. What do you find, regarding that kind of stuff when you're talking to business owners?
So that can happen a lot of times, and that's why you see businesses only last in 5 to 6 years, most of them. If they meet that 10-year mark, they figured something out that works. And so they generally have a better understanding of the financial side of things. But that's a lot of times what they do is they have this idea, they want to be their own boss, and then just get out there and do it. And what they don't realize is that only works for a little while. If you want to actually grow your business and make it like, a multi-million-dollar business, you really have to actually do the hard work of learning things you hate. And a lot of small business owners hate finances, which is, I completely understand. And there are definitely ways that you can make it simpler for yourself so you don't have to be looking at like a profit and loss all the time. There's better ways and better reports to look at, but you do need to have a basic understanding of it so that you can actually find someone who actually can help you out. And that's the biggest thing that I think small business owners fault themselves on, is they don't really get an understanding of it. And so they just find somebody who will do it for them, and they're maybe not even the best at it. And so they don't really have an idea of what's going on because they've hired, their brother who says he can do the books for them.
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head there, and you see it time and time again, especially in the music realm and in sports and that kind of stuff, where they don't have any level of understand. I'm not saying that nobody in music has any understanding. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that you hear about those stories of musicians being taken advantage of from, whether it be a financial advisor or an accountant or a manager, because they don't have really even a 101 level of understanding of that. So when they pass it off, they don't even know in certain circumstances how to choose someone appropriately, and then the red flags to look out for.
Yep.
Now, of course, the biggest and most important thing is being able to hire things out so you're not juggling all the balls, right?
Yeah, well, and learning that that's an important thing. Even when you don't feel like you have a lot of money, looking at how much time you can spend on things that'll grow your business versus back-end stuff, which costs money to hire out, but it can make it so you can actually pay yourself money. So a lot of people get that stress of, I don't want to hire anything else because I don't have any money, but then they don't have the time to actually go out there and sell their product. So having that realization is really important, trying to figure out when to make that decision.
Yeah, so they just sort of stay on this sort of treadmill, and then, and it can become very problematic very quickly. So I want to have my listeners learn on a more granular basis about your business.
Yep.
So what is it that you do in its entirety?
So the reason I'm not like in my name, there's nowhere CPA, because I don't want to be a traditional CPA firm where we're just like, we do auditing and taxes. Great. I actually don't do auditing at all because I don't feel like that's a value add for business owners themselves. That's something that, external sources ask for. So I started the business and said, what do small business owners need the most? And that is, they need good information about how their business is doing. And how do I facilitate that? Well, there's a couple different ways. There's a couple different needs that they have. One is they always need help with taxes. Great. But if you're just concentrated on that, you're not concentrating on running your business well. And so our focus is, let's get your business books together. Let's get you some reports that can show you where your business is headed. And then on the back end, we can do some tax planning to align your strategy with your business. And so we do a lot of outsourcing work. That's what I call it, where we do bookkeeping, payroll, financial forecasting, tax planning, and all that. But it's all because we want the business owner to get the information that they need to actually run their business.
Okay. Perfect.
So hopefully that's a quick rundown.
Yeah, I think that's great. So in your firm, what would you say you focus the bulk of your time in?
So the bulk of our time is pretty much caring for our customers and doing financial analysis for them. So trying to point them in a good direction of, let's get some goals on paper for you. Let's talk those through, and then let me help you track those goals and give that information to you. And then because we've got all that information collected, especially in this day and age of data, if you get the right data collected and categorized correctly, things become super easy. And so those are the two high priorities: is customer relations, because we want to have a relationship with that customer, even if we only do a couple things a year for them throughout the year. We want them to be able to feel like they can call us, because that's important to us. The more I know about my customers, the better I can help them. And then two, if we can take care of their data well, from a financial perspective, we can do all the things they need really super easily.
Okay, perfect. And so, so you're helping people figure out what their goals are within their business, putting together sort of the financial roadmap on how to achieve those goals. But then you're also at that, when the time comes, you're doing the tax planning and the strategizing, and then you can also file their taxes for them and do all those kinds of fun things.
Yeah. So we try to do everything that we can. We want to try to be, at least from an accounting perspective, a one-stop shop, so that they don't have to go farming out for myriad of other things. They just call me up and complain to me about whatever they have. If they have an issue, they just have one point of contact. Hopefully there's not too many issues, but I feel like that eases a lot of pain for small business owners where they only have the one person they have to call and bother or get in contact with.
Exactly. So if a business that is your client gets audited, I assume you take over that part and you handle all the back end stuff, right?
Yep. So I help them with any tax audits that happen. It all depends on what they're audited for. If it's something that if they didn't provide me information and the IRS is coming after them for that, well, then we're gonna have to work out some sort of payment deal. Otherwise, if it's something that got missed or the IRS just didn't like a stance we took, we'll go back and forth and help them figure it out.
Okay. Nice. Now, let me ask you this. Is there such thing as a business that is too small to work with you or too big?
So there's definitely too big. Too small, yes and no. Most of the small businesses I work with will just have a phone call and I'll give them some advice because I want to do what we talked about earlier. I want to help those small businesses get on a good financial footing at the beginning. And so giving them free advice is probably the best way to do that at that moment when they're not willing to really pay for much. From a big business side of things, we're kind of capping ourselves at the smaller business of under about 10 million in revenue. So that's where we want to concentrate our efforts.
Okay. And then as far as, let's say you're solopreneur, they can work with you as well, I'm assuming. Yep.
We can work with the sole entrepreneur if they do various different things. They're kind of interesting, unique people themselves because they have kind of a unique mindset around if they're doing solopreneurship. They just do things a little bit different than other people, but they're fun to work with.
Yeah. And then also, can you help people strategize on if they're working in a sole proprietor type of model, and then you can give them advice on if they should maybe transition into an LLC or an S corp or even a C corp if they're trying to raise capital and so forth, correct?
Yeah, so those are some really good conversations to have, especially when you've been in business 3 or 4 years and are actually starting to make money. Before then, a lot of people try to jump the gun sometimes and say, hey, let's get this stuff set up right away. And that's okay if you've got like outside investors or a way to really make money real quickly. Otherwise, staying as a sole proprietorship is probably the easiest until you're actually sure that this is something that you're going to put a lot of time and effort into. And then we can talk about what's the best strategy for reducing your tax burden going forward.
Okay. So let's say the small business doesn't need any help on the actual strategizing of their financial goals, and they've got a good footing there. Yep. Can they just come to you and have you do their taxes and that's that?
Yes, I will. I'll do that for them. A lot of times I'll still talk to them a little bit about strategy so I know where they're coming from, because it's always good for me to have an idea of what their financial and business goals are so that we can say, okay, let's not just hide all your money from the IRS because you might need that cash for your business. So let's try to figure out how to add those things together.
Yeah, it's a fine line there, because if you're always showing losses and then you try to go get a loan or something, it can become problematic.
Oh, it's bad real quick. I've had several small business owners come to me and I'm like, you haven't shown any income for the last net income for the last couple of years and you want to go get a mortgage. It's not going to look real good.
Yeah, exactly. So then let me ask this. Let's say someone has, they've had a CPA for 10 years, but their CPA doesn't do anything with bookkeeping. Can they come to you and just outsource their bookkeeping to you and your firm?
Yep. I would love to help them with that. There's going to be clients that I fit well with personally, because there's always that personality that you want to work with. And so I completely understand that there's going to be other people who have a better connection on certain things. And if I can help them out in just the bookkeeping area, love to help them out with that and provide their CPA with as much information as possible.
Okay. All right. That's cool. So tell me what geographic locations do you cover?
So pretty much anywhere I can drive to in Utah. Usually within an hour and a half of Salt Lake City. So that's why I try to keep it geographically. But I have people I work with in Wisconsin, Texas, Virginia, different states because, well, we can do everything online now. So
exactly. Okay, cool. So to be safe, from Ogden to Provo, Tooele to maybe Park City, Heber City, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, good. That definitely helps. I think it's always important for people to understand the geographic locations. So, and obviously, especially with 2020 behind us now, we've all become extremely well versed with online platforms.
Yep, which is awesome. I think there's several benefits to it, and I'm definitely still okay. And I love having an actual face-to-face with people. But it's nice to be able to save some of that time every once in a while.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so for the person who's really technologically forward, you can handle everything on a platform like this or Zoom.
Yep, I can do a video call, and then I have web portals for collecting information securely.
Okay, and then on the flip side, for someone who is not very technologically forward and they want to have that face-to-face, are you, obviously I know you can do the face-to-face and you really enjoy that, but with this COVID situation, are you doing that? Like, tell me what that looks like.
It's really up to the client. So I don't have COVID. I've been tested several times in the past, and so I'm fine. It's really up to the client. If that's something that they want to do and have it face-to-face and they're okay with it, then I'm okay with it. If they're not okay with it, I'm not going to try to push it on them at all. Video calls are wonderful.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So tell me, who does your sort of perfect client look like? So if someone was watching this and they're trying to say, am I David's client? Who are you speaking to, or who makes a good referral for you and your firm?
So we're really concentrating on small businesses because we want to really partner with them to help them grow. So we're looking for people around, a little, like I said, under $10 million, but 1 to 10 employees. They have a passion for what they're doing. They hate the back end office stuff. We would love to partner with them to help them out with the back end office stuff, to actually give them a clear view of what's going on. So that's kind of a quick overview of what they look like. A lot of times there'll be the people who just constantly complain about not having their books together or their finance together, or they don't want to get their taxes together or look at any of that stuff. And that's fine. Completely understand that's not your wheelhouse. That's why I'm here.
Right. Okay, perfect. So what about your one-off, let's say, successful salesperson, like a realtor or something along those lines? Do you like working with those types of individuals as well?
Yep. So I have several realtor clients because they have a unique case where they have a really good, depending on what they're doing, they have a good case to have some good tax strategies to reduce their tax burden because they get 1099 from their firm. So they're an interesting group to work with. They're super simple, and we can usually help them out for a relatively small fee. Okay.
All right. Good. And then another question that I've got. For the individual who has spent time in the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin world,
yes.
Are you? I know you are, but just so my viewers can hear this, do you have good background and understanding of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, how they're taxed, and how to strategize with people appropriately?
Yes, I do. I love cryptocurrency. Is awesome. I think it's going to be the currency of the future at some point. It might take a little while, but it's awesome. But the way the U.S. looks at it is it's sort of unique, but at the same time, it's not. So it's just interesting. But yeah, I love working with people with that because I feel like they have a little bit more future technology savviness than some of the other people who are like, I have no idea what cryptocurrency is.
Right. Okay, cool. So, and I think that's important because, as we move further into adoption, I think that there might be some accountants out there that have not brought themselves up to speed on exactly what's going on with that space. And I think it's important for people to know if they decide to either move into that space or they are already there, to be able to have someone they can trust that really understands how to navigate that.
Yeah, especially if you're like a small business who allows transactions in that. in cryptocurrency, like you accept payment, and it makes things a little bit interesting.
That, yes, I could imagine. All right, that's great. Okay, so how does a potential client get a hold of you?
So any way they prefer. So I'm on all social media. So if you want to reach out to me on there, or you can go to my website, pick up the phone, call me if you're old school, send me a text message, shoot me an email. I try to be open to all forms of communication just because that's kind of the world we live in. You don't want to just have a phone number out there because a lot of people communicate online. So
exactly. What is your website again? And I'll pull it up on a banner.
It's walstonadvisoryfirm.com.
Okay.
And I think I have links to all my social media on there as well. Some of my accounts I'm not that active on, but I try.
Nice. Okay. So this is going to be the best way if someone has done their own research and all that stuff, and they decide that you're the person for them. Yep. They can go to your website. They can reach you via email, phone, and social media. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep. That's the best starting place. They can find information, some summary information about services there as well. So, okay.
And from what I understand, you're located in the South Jordan area. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I have an office in Sandy where I meet physically with clients, or I drive around the valley and we meet in coffee shops and such nearer to where they are, or at their offices.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And then you also have an office in Virginia. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do have a location in Virginia. I have an employee out there who helps me with my clients there. So I moved from Virginia, it's almost 3 years now ago, and I kept a bunch of clients I had there. So I have an office there for helping them out.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, how are you liking Utah over the last few years?
I love the climate better. So coming out here from Virginia is wonderful because it's dry. Where in Virginia, you got the swampy heat, 80% humidity. You walk outside, you're just sweating. Terrible. It's the worst. I mean, they have nice beaches though, so that's a positive. But they don't get as much snow where we were. So the snow and the dry air, it's wonderful.
Nice. I love Utah, and I also like the dry heat. Yeah. Like Las Vegas in the middle of the summer, I can just bask in it. Like,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I just soak it in like crazy. But the humid heat, I mean, it's pretty dramatic. Like, it's heavy, it's just wet, and you're just like, oh.
It's completely different. And plus, you got the nice national parks out here, all of them in Utah, bunch of hiking and trails. It's wonderful.
Nice. So do you like to get outdoors and spend time hiking and getting out there like that?
Yeah, we try to every once in a while. Not so much so now because it's cold, but in the summer season, we got 3 kids and we try to drag them along with us. They're almost to the age where they won't die halfway through the hike because, their legs hurt. So we're almost there. We can almost do like a 15-minute hike and no one whines.
Awesome. So as we move to a wrap up, I'd like to know, what is one of your favorite quotes or favorite songs, or both?
That's a difficult one.
It is.
It's a very difficult one. See, I don't have a really specific quote, but one of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis. And his perspective on humanity is just really, really, really good. So I don't know if I have a specific quote from him that I could cite right now, but just him in general. I like his work. He's an awesome author.
What was that again?
He's an awesome author.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. So let's say it's a Sunday afternoon on Saturday. The sun is out. You're in your Lamborghini with your top down. What song are you listening to in that situation?
I'm not sure if I'm listening to a song at that moment. I just might be enjoying the cool, crisp air, or the warm air, whatever it happens to be, the warm, dry air, riding around, looking at stuff.
I respect that. I like that quite a bit because that definitely is a very peaceful experience for sure.
Yep.
Nice. Cool, man. So is there anything else specifically about your firm that you think that my listeners should know about you and your firm, or something else that we should share?
The only thing I think I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again, is that I try to prioritize my clients. I feel like I want to build that relationship. I don't want to be a one-stop. One time per year, you show up, give me information, and you're done. I like to have continuing conversations, answering questions. I like to try to be there for them as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I wanted to bring up as well. Every single time I've ever called you or texted you or anything, you're on top of it. And
I try.
I respect that.
In the digital age, in this world we live in, it's kind of how you have to be to keep people's attention. And I think it's good. You want to make sure that they know that you value their time, even if it's a text back saying, hey, I haven't had a chance to look at this. I'll be back with you in an hour or so. Just letting people know that you're there and you heard.
Nice. I think also I wanted to clarify one thing. If you were working with one of your clients and they needed to, let's say, transition from a subchapter S corp to a C corp because they're going to take on investors or VC or something, do you handle that paperwork to transition them over?
I can handle the paperwork with the IRS. I am not an attorney, so I'm not going to handle any of that paperwork. I'll refer you to some good attorneys to help you out with the different things you'll have to do with the different operating agreements and such. But yeah, I can help file the paperwork with the IRS to let them know that you're making a change.
All right, perfect. And it's sort of funny with people in both of our industries. We're always having to disclaimer, asterisk here, and be careful with this. And
yep, exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been a real pleasure having you on the show today, so we could learn more about your firm and what you do to help both individuals and businesses. Yep. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think that's a pretty good summary. If people have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I try to answer, pretty quickly and give you some reasonable answers if I can. If I can't, I'll make them up.
Or you'll refer them back to me with all their wild questions, huh?
There you go. That's what I'll do. I'll send them to you.
That's awesome. Well, David, this has been a pleasure having you on the show. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great talking to you, as usual. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, my man. I appreciate it. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to put you in the green room for a few moments while I wrap up the show. Is that cool?
Sounds great.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. So there you have it, my friends. David Walston is a CPA and specializes in certain business planning and goal setting, all kinds of stuff regarding accounting and so forth, bookkeeping, and check him out here, walstonadvisoryfirm.com. Like I said, with my disclaimers, you got to do your own research and find out if Walston Advisory Firm is the firm for you. But David is definitely a stand-up guy, and I appreciate him as a friend. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this interview today. Happy 2021. Thank you for following. Definitely throw us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content today. If you have any questions, throw them down below, and David will be sure to answer those for you. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful, healthy, and successful year. Take care, my friends.